When I bought this car, I never expected 150 days later I'd still be dealing with the same problem. The car had an airbag code that I just could not figure out. Yeah, when I bought it, it did have some light front end damage, and it had some side damage, but the airbags had not been deployed. That was way back in the summer when I was in my short sleeves and the trees were green. Since then, we've been through Labor Day, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and I'm still battling the same problem. Here, let me wind you back to the beginning of the story. I don't have a lot of experience doing body work. I mainly do mechanical work, but as I said, this was mainly disassembly, bolt on, bolt off. So I had some friends come over. We wanted to evaluate what we're gonna need from the scrapyard. So we tore down the fender, the bumper cover, the hood, to really evaluate what we needed. And this is what we ended up with. So then I was off to the U-Pick scrapyard to get the parts I needed. I was looking for a fender, hood, and 2 doors. And here's how it turned out. Now, just my luck, Equinox has come in 3 different whites, and this 2017 here has a unique white only for 2017. So the chances of getting it matched up from the scrapyard is kind of slim. You see here, this quarter panel and the rear hatch are the original white, and then these 2 doors are white from a different vehicle. Got the original fender here. This fender was a little bent, but I decided we could reuse it. I got a hood that's a 3rd white from a different vehicle. This fender came in black from the scrapyard, so I spray bombed it. Now, this car had already had a previous body repair. I could see overspray on the fender. This overspray is not from me. I've sprayed this fender off the vehicle, so there's overspray from a previous repair. Plus these doors, it looks like the front door had been painted. I didn't do that. It's a little different shade from the rear door. You can see, especially right here, they don't quite match. I think this door matches this quarter panel pretty well. So I'm looking at 5 different whites here on the vehicle. I reused the bumper cover. Yeah, it wasn't perfect. It had some damage there, but I was able to reuse it. Bought this headlamp from Amazon. It doesn't quite line up perfectly. The frame of the vehicle under here was a little bent up. It was pushed in 3/4 of an inch, but we used the Sport Track and a tow strap to pull it back out, which was a lot of fun. Now, I've been driving the car about 5 weeks. I wanted the opportunity to see how does it run and drive? Is it a good car? And putting it on the road, taking the Sport Track off the road, gave me an opportunity to do those repairs. And I will say, this is a sweetheart of a little car. Check this out. Look at this mileage, 27.9 miles per gallon. I've never had a vehicle get that well, and this is combined city and highway. Look at these miles, 111, 111. When I knew that this magic milestone moment was coming, I thought about going downtown Detroit to General Motors World Headquarters and seeing if Mary Barrow would come out and sign my sun visor for me. But the moment passed, and I'll have to wait for the next magical milestone moment for that. As I've mentioned, our adventure today is to diagnose some electronicals on this car, and let me tell you what I'm looking at. I get 2 warning messages when I start the car. The first is the tire monitoring system, and the second is this airbag warning. And as you see, the monitoring system, the tire warning light is also flashing, and the airbag light is also on. Now, I knew about the tire pressure monitoring when I test drove the car before buying it, but this airbag light was not on when I test drove the car. I'm certain of that because I pay really close attention to those things. So this is something that I induced in the course of doing my repairs. Because this has side airbags, there are sensors in the doors, and I got junkyard doors. Now, it could be these came from a car that doesn't have side airbags. Could be they're from an older vehicle with a different technology or level of sensor, and they're not compatible with the vehicle. Reading the codes from the car will help point us in the right direction, but I do like to have a hypothesis going into it. I know O'Reilly and AutoZone can read codes. They advertise that. I contacted them. They cannot read airbag codes. They're mainly engine codes. They can do TPMS, but not airbag codes. So I do have a friend with a scanner who can read the codes. So we're going to go down and visit him and read the code. So it's about a 40-minute drive. You can come with me. I've got room for 5, but if you need to get your code or your phone, whatever you need to get, go get it, and then we're going to get on the road. Yes, maybe tell me about your scanner here.
So it's the Solus Ultra Snap-on scanner, and it'll read the network, which is what we're testing now, the whole network for codes, and the 17 systems detected. We have 4 airbag codes. All right.
So after clearing the codes,
Those are only 2.
these 2 came back, right rear and left front. This door was a open or a short to battery on that airbag sensor, and the driver's side front door was a invalid serial data. Now, starting with this door, I know it's a junkyard door because I put it on there from the junkyard. What I don't know is what year vehicle it came off of. Was it a vehicle with side airbags? I don't even know if it has an airbag sensor in there. So I'm going to start by just taking off this door panel and seeing, does it even have an airbag sensor? I know less about the history of this door. You see there's a couple different colors here, so I know it's been painted. I know it's probably been in a collision, and there's overspray on the front wheel liner there. But looking on the inside of the door, there's matching stickers between these 2 doors on the inside. So I'm a little more confident that is not a replacement door, but I'll do the same thing. I'm going to remove the trim panel and just start by inspecting the airbag sensor. My buddy who helped me with the scan tool also sent me some screenshots from his workshop manual, and it looks like the airbag sensor should be located down around this area. So bringing you in here, I see, yeah, there's the sensor. Shine my light right on it, right there in the center. Now, I don't really have a way of diagnosing it per se. I'm always against just replacing parts to replace parts. I don't have a way to diagnose it. It's cool to verify that it has one. I think it'd be good to see, is it the same part number as would come on a 2017? That's what year my vehicle is. Try to do any kind of validation or verification I can that it's the right part before I just go replacing the part. I figured I should use some sort of diagnosis. I at least want to check continuity on these circuits. So I unplugged the harness to the door here, and I found the same color wires, so it's blue with a black stripe and green with a white stripe are the same as the airbag sensor wires. And I want to check continuity. Now, my probes are too big to get into the airbag sensor side, so I just connected them with a paper clip. You would never want to do that with the vehicle with this all connected because that's the problem. But I connected them there, and then I'll check for continuity on the 2 circuits here. So I have continuity. That tells me that the circuit going from the connector to the sensor and back is good, which I would expect it to be. I don't know the rest of the vehicle, but it's just something. Now, I can't see how to get that sensor out of there. I've got to play around, maybe research a little bit on that. So on the driver's side, I disconnected at the door, and it's purple and a white wire there, so I checked the purple and white wire here. Again, it's 153 kiloohms, so the other side was 156, so it's the same thing. Maybe that is the range. I'll check with a friend who's an expert who has access to shop manuals to see, is that in range or out of range for these sensors. By the way, whenever you're working on any type of airbag components, you're supposed to disconnect the battery first. So just pretend that I did that. But in reality, because I'm working on the side of the sensors that is disconnected from the vehicle, there is no risk of setting off the airbags. I'm working on a circuit that is disconnected from the vehicle. It is unpowered, but still, don't follow my example. And if you are working on airbags, make sure you disconnect the battery. 156 kiloohms. Well, that's the exact same as the other side. So the sensors with the code and the sensor without the code are the exact same kilo ohm. So that would tell me it's not the sensors. Could it be the module? Could it be wiring? Could be wiring, could be the module. Well, we're not there yet. It's another day and I'm taking another crack at the Equinox side airbag sensor codes. I think I need to access the module on the airbag to diagnose the wiring from the module to the sensors. So in order to do that, I will need to disconnect the battery and access the module. Now what I'm reading on the internet is that the airbag module is underneath that center console and you can access it by removing the seat and removing the side of the center console to do that. I'm not really looking forward to do that. Honestly, I'm kind of lazy. I don't really want to tear the whole thing apart and have hours invested, but there really is no other way to do it, so I'm going to have to get cracking on it. So I disconnected the battery, negative terminal, right there, disconnected, and I'm actually going to let it sit, maybe a half hour. It might just be 10 minutes, might be a half hour, I don't know. Something I saw on the internet said a half hour. Airbag modules actually hold a charge for a little bit. You can research why, I don't know. If it's when you get a crash, the airbag can keep going off even when the battery's disconnected. I don't know, but it's not like other things on the car where you just disconnect the battery and you're done. So you do need to let it depower that airbag module. So I'm gonna go do some other things around the yard and I'll come back to this. All right, I got the seat out. I just stuck it back there. The seat belt is still attached to it. So it did just kind of slide out through these slots here, which was kind of neat. And I've got to take the center console side off to find that module. I don't know exactly how it snaps on and off. I mean, I want to try to protect it from breaking tabs and stuff, but again, I don't have a workshop manual to tell me how to do it. I'm going to put you right back here looking through that passenger door. I don't want to break things. I'm also not going to, I'll just try to be careful, you know, best I can. I don't have any workshop manual to tell me what to do or not do. A lot of these plastic cars just kind of snap together. Oh, lovely. I think that's the airbag module there. Now my buddy, who's been giving me advice, and we used a scan tool, sent me a copy of the wiring diagram. So it's the side impact sensor left front and right rear. Those are the two where I'm getting the codes. And so I'm going to check for continuity from here to each sensor, as well as for any shorts to ground. All right, I've been studying it for a while, and I was concerned I didn't have the pin out, but I see these pins are numbered 1 through 18, and then the middle, and 37 through 54. And on the diagram, it gives me the pin numbers, 21, 19, 20, 21, 22, so on. So I can identify the pins here and the corresponding pins in the doors, and I can check the wiring for any opens or shorts. On the right rear, the code was a open or short to power. That's what it said, open or short to power. So first I'll check for I didn't tear the door apart. I realized I don't have to tear the door apart to check the full circuit. So right rear is pins 29 and 30. I got paper clips because my multimeter leads are too fat. So I use some paper clips. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. So I check 29, 30. I have the meter set to ohm meter. you can see it says what, 150 kiloohms, 168 kiloohms, so it doesn't have an open. Could it have a short to power? I don't know how to check that. The left front, the code said invalid serial data received. I don't know what that means. I'm just going to check the circuit. I know that that's 19. That's 20. Oops. Yeah, 157 ohms, kiloohms. So there's not an open, unless there's some funny thing about the pin. If the pin is, there's an issue with pin fit, that the pin's not squeezed together enough to make contact. That could be it, but I don't have any opens. I don't know how to check short to power. I mean, do I just check, is the wire shorted to power? 12 volts, shorted to 12 volts. That seems like it'd be something inside the module. Where else are these wires between here and the connector between the sensor going to get shorted to power? I guess I'll check them for shorts to ground just for fun. You know, can't hurt. I'm back at it doing airbag diagnostics on the Equinox. It's a new day. In fact, it's a new season. There's snow outside. Got my heater going in the garage. Sold the Jeep, so I got space here now. So I've been reading up on the airbag diagnostics, and on this door, the code is invalid serial data. So just looking at Google, what could that code be caused by? One thing it talked about was it could be the wiring. You know, if it's a common thing is a wiring problem. You got the harness here, and so you got to check for wiring problem there. So what I did, I got the seat back out, and I'm hooked into the harness here just to check resistance on this. Now, the other thing that's really important is when you're working with sensitive things like airbags, you gotta use precise equipment. So here I've got my leads electrical taped to some wires with some alligator clips, and the alligator clips connected to some paper clips. So super important to use this kind of precision when you're working with airbags. The other thing, my DVOM, I got it in 1991, and a lot of times when it's on ohms, it's not happy. It goes back and forth to voltage. You can see doing that now. So sometimes I got to hit it and get it back onto ohms. There it goes. Okay, so I got it on ohms, 154 ohms, and I'm over here. I'm squeezing this harness. I'm wiggling it. I've opened and closed the door several times and slammed it, and nothing is changing here. So I checked all 4 side airbag sensors. They're all about 154 ohms from the module to the door. Open the door, shut the door, squeeze the harnesses, and there's no change there. So I feel like I'm proving out the wiring and the sensors in terms of that. I think it's getting down to maybe a module. It could be this. It could be the harness. I mean, I'm probably not doing any favors by stuffing paper clips in there because the blades are flat. I could take it apart and make sure they're pinched together, but I'm kind of getting down to maybe it's a module. And if I'm going to have a module be looked at, I'm not doing that. I'd probably take it to the Chevy dealership. They have the diagnostic tools. They have the know-how. They have the equipment. It kills me to think about paying somebody to do the work, but I feel like I've done as much diagnostics as I can on this airbag system, and having the car with inoperable airbags just isn't cool. So that might be what's next. Well, I broke down and brought the Equinox to the Chevy dealership to diagnose the airbags. So I've really exceeded my capabilities. Really, I don't have workshop manuals, diagnostic tools, software, and above all, experience with this. And I'd rather give them $500 to determine it needs airbag sensors than me spend $50 guessing and throwing them in there. So, you know, that's what you got to do sometimes, and I want to get it fixed and fixed right. I'm picking the car up from the dealership. They had called and said they could not make a repair. They said the wiring was botched. I asked what wiring, at the module, at the sensors. They said all of it is just botched. So they said the sensors are obsolete, no longer made by GM, and they don't want to touch it. So I'm picking it up. So I spent $195 on Diagnosis. They did say they think 2 sensors are bad. When I picked it up and talked to the advisor, I said, can you describe what's botched? She goes, just the wiring's all botched. In the doors, it looks like somebody put in the wiring from the wrong year, which the doors are junkyard doors from who knows what year. But he said he'd start by just replacing everything, just replace everything. So, which is not what we're going to do, but I'm going to go spend some time thinking about what are the next steps. We got to get it fixed. The actual tech comments that they wrote on the repair order were: found multiple codes present, found code for right rear door impact sensor, found door switched with another vehicle and is the wrong one. Parts are discontinued. So I spent $195 for them to tell me what I already knew. In fact, I told them all that stuff. I had really had a lot of hope in taking it to the dealership. I believe in dealerships. They have the diagnostics and the software and the workshop manuals and the technical hotlines and the experience. I was willing to spend several $100s to have it fixed right. I think they saw a car that's got 5 colors of white, junkyard doors, and they didn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole, which I totally respect. There's liability involved, but I was kind of counting on their know-how. So guess what? It's back here with me. I borrowed my buddy's Snap-on scanner that I'd used earlier in this repair attempt, and I swapped sensors from one door to the other to see would the code move with it. And it didn't. So I swapped the sensors between these 2 front doors, and it still says invalid serial data for this door. I was going to swap the back ones. It's the back right one that has the code. This one doesn't. But you can't switch them. They're unique to the door, and they won't even plug in to the sensor. So I'm kind of back to the drawing board, pulling my hair out. I'm going to get some advice from my buddy who has this scanner. He's a really good diagnostician. And I'm starting to think maybe it's the module, because I've proved out all the wiring and I've swapped sensors and the code still remains in this spot. So I have no idea what the cost is for that. And then you have to put software in it too, which if the dealership's not willing to do the repair, I don't know if they'd be willing to put software in there. So yeah, we'll see what's next. We're at the U-Pull Junkyard, which is my favorite place on earth. If I die and get to go to heaven, it's going to look like this. Cars and rows of cars. So I found here a 2017 Equinox. I'm going to pull out the airbag module. Junior's over there. I'm going to pull out an airbag sensor, and look at that. I'm getting down here to the airbag module, but man, whoever owned this car, they needed to vacuum it. But oh look, there's a quarter. I'm making money. After replacing the right rear door with the one from the proper year, 2017, the airbag light is out, which for me is a little confusing because the codes I got, one was for this front driver's door invalid serial data, and then for the back door short to ground or short to open. Short to power or open. I guess the module is confused when it has the wrong part in it. It's not designed for that to understand it. But the good news is it's done. All right, time for the big reveal to my daughter. So I have good news and I have bad news.
What's the good news?
The airbags are fixed.
Yay. What's the bad news? I have to drive that to school?
That's all they had. The junkyard was not a white one.
I'm not driving
And so the story had a happy ending just 5 months later. Honestly, I was this close to selling the car as is. We really didn't want our daughter driving around in a car with a faulty airbag system. So what am I proud of? I'm proud I never gave up and I never threw parts at the problem. What am I not proud of? The problem was staring me in the face the whole time. How many times did I say that I put this door on and I didn't know the year of it, if it's compatible? So the problem was staring me in the face the whole time, but I just didn't see it. I think I was trying to be so true to the trouble codes and have a legitimate diagnostic process that I really overlooked the obvious. The breakthrough is when I could not switch the airbag sensors side to side. I want to switch them side to side to see if the code would move, and they were not interchangeable. And that was the clue that could just be the wrong sensor. Going to the junkyard and seeing if 2017s are supposed to have the same sensor side to side was part of the diagnostic process, and it worked, and here we are. If you've ever had a scenario like this where you've caused your own problem, couldn't figure it out, put it in a comment. I'd love to read about that. So that's it. Bring it to a close, and we're on to the next adventure.